beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is super exciting because I'm going to be doing the hashtag 22 faves tarot tag. From what I understand, this tag was started quite a while ago and then it's been brought back recently to TarotTube. I will link the original person who made the video down below because I'm not quite sure of that. And then I'll credit whoever it was that kind of brought it back years later. Because I was having a hard time finding it right before the video, but I'll do some research and it'll be in the description box of the video when you're watching this. So basically the premise of this video is that you pick 22 of your favorite major arcana cards from all of your decks. You go through all your decks and you pick your favorite card for each of the major arcana, and I spent hours doing this. I got out all my favorite decks. Some of these I already had in mind when I was thinking of doing this video. I kind of already knew. Some of them were harder, either because I like a lot of versions of the card or I don't necessarily like any versions of the card. So as you can see, I have a variety, a pile of a lot of different variety here. I do have some runner-ups that we'll talk about as I get to the card, but let's just get started. This was super fun to do. All right, number one, let's start with the Fool. So I picked the original Rider-Waite-Smith Fool card. This is from the Smith-Waite Borderless Centennial deck, and I chose this because the Fool, for me, I do really like the Fool card, and I kind of like to see the same things from the Fool card. I do like for it to be, shook up a little bit once in a while, but for the most part, I do like to see the original imagery in the Fool card. And I just think this image is just so iconic. I love the coloring in this edition. I love the sun. I love all the symbolism, the little dog. I just love it. The Fool card is one, I guess because when I started learning tarot, you just start with the Fool, obviously. When you start reading books and when you start watching videos, you just start with the Fool card. And so for me, I feel like the Fool card, this imagery is just kind of so ingrained in me that I just really, I really enjoy it. And yeah, when I think of the Fool, this is what I think of. All right, next up, we have the Magician. So the Magician card I chose is this one. So this is the Witch card from the Green Witch Tarot. And there's a few things I like to see in the Magician card. I do love to see all the different tools here, and she has all of these tools. She has her magic wand here, she has the cup, she has the athame, which is the swords in this deck, and she has the pentacle. And for me, the Magician card is about manifestation and creating your own destiny and creating your own kind of life path. And for me personally, my witchy journey and discovering that I'm a witch and all of these things has manifested my life into this dream life that I never thought I could accomplish. And so this card has a really special place in my heart, and I just love, I mean, you guys know, I love witchy things. So if a card has a witch depicted, I'm all about it. So I love that it's renamed the Witch, because for me, manifestation and this magician energy has come from being a witch for me. And I just love that she's like creating a potion here and she's manifesting, and I love it. So that is the card I chose for the Magician. Next up, we have the High Priestess. So this is the High Priestess card I chose. This is from the Everyday Witch Tarot. And come on, it's a tarot reader. I love when the High Priestess card comes up for what kind of witch are you, or like if somebody's wanting to know if they have psychic tendencies and things like that. Because when I do think of the High Priestess card, I do think of that psychic magic, that tarot reader. So I just think it's perfect that this actually has a fortune teller in it. We have her with her crystal ball. She has her tarot card. She has runes. I love the black cat here We have the two, we do have like classic imagery here with the black and the white candles instead of the pillars. And then I love all of the books behind her. In the normal like High Priestess imagery, we have kind of a veil, a pomegranate veil behind her, and you don't know what's behind the veil, right? There's mystery. And we do have kind of like these curtains behind, but I love that the mystery of like is kind of in the books. Like, what knowledge does she have from reading these books, right? What kind of witchy, esoteric things are in those books? So I love this. I love the power that comes from this card. So absolutely love this. Okay, next up we have the Empress. And I chose the Empress from the Pagan Otherworlds. And this actually really surprised me because I went into this kind of thinking I was going to pick a different card from a different deck, which I will show you. It's a runner-up. But when I laid all of my decks out and I looked at all of the Empress cards, I was kind of, I don't know, I was a little disappointed, I guess. I love the classic imagery of the pregnant Empress, you know, that motherly, like, nurturing energy. I do enjoy that imagery. None of them seem to have kind of the power that I felt like this Empress has. She doesn't have like any kind of little baby animals or like little babies, and she's not pregnant in this photo, but I just feel like you can be mothering and you can be feminine and you can have that energy, but also be this strong leader figure, which I really enjoy. And like, she does seem stern, but I also there is this softness about her that she can be this motherly figure. So I really, really, really enjoy this Empress card. And it really surprised me because I guess I don't think about this Empress very much. But when I had everybody laid out all my cards, I was like, this is the kind of Empress that I would want to be. Kind of putting up this like strong front, but then behind the scenes be taking care of your people. So I love that. The card that I was going to choose originally was the Empress card from the Rainbow Heart Tarot. This one is a much more feminine, kind of like bountiful depiction, right? But the reason I love this is because of the many breasts here. And I just feel like this is overly, like, this is kind of depicting that feminine energy very strongly, which I do really enjoy. I don't think she's pregnant in this photo, which I do enjoy as well, right? We can be that feminine, nurturing, caring person without being pregnant. And we can have that abundance and have all of that without pregnancy always. So yeah, but I just feel like this image here, we have the Venus symbol and everything. It's just a little more subtle, but it still exudes the Empress energy. So that was the Empress card I chose. All right, next up for the Emperor. I chose this Emperor card. This is from the Tarot of the Haunted House. I really enjoy to see the Emperor in action. Like, as much as I enjoy the normal Emperor sitting in his chair and his throne, you know, with all the power, I do like to see somebody who's kind of taking charge and is in action. So I really enjoy this Emperor card because I feel like it can show also the dark side of the Emperor. We have his rifle here, and you know, there could be a abuse of power. And I love that the world, instead of holding it in his hand, he has like this globe here. I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for like old game hunting, like world traveler kind of aesthetic. I mean, as wrong as it is, but like I don't know. I think it's cool, like that kind of period of time when we were talking about curiosity cabinets and people who would travel the world and have all these different kind of oddities from around the world. This is what this reminds me of. And it also reminds me of I think it's called The Most Dangerous Game, that I read in high school. It kind of gives me this vibe. If you guys have read that, please let me know. It also gives me like Jumanji vibes. So I don't know. I just really like the imagery in this, but I feel like you can have two different sides to this. So like you could look at this as him going to go protect his land or whatever, protect the people in the house. And you could also look at him as this kind of person who wants all of the control and will do anything to get it. So I really, really like this Emperor card. All right, next up we have the Hierophant. And normally the Hierophant card is a little triggery for me because of the way I grew up and things like that. But this card I adore. From the moment that I opened this deck, this card just called to me. This is the Hierophant card from the Santa Muerte Tarot. And I like to see the Hierophant. I actually had a lot of good Hierophants to pick from. I had a lot that were more of like the High Priest or like the Ancestor or somebody who's just like there to give you their wisdom and their teachings and things like that without being overly structured, I guess. I don't know the word. I enjoy in this card that we don't have two people kind of like bowing down to the Hierophant. And the thing I really enjoy, so we have the as above, so below here, and we also have the Ouija board. And so this to me speaks to the teachings of ancestors and people that came before us. And I just feel like the figure in this card is like gathering information from people that came before him even, right? So he is taking wisdom from those that came before him before he goes and bestows it on others. It's not just from him. He's kind of like taking advice from people who have passed on. And to me, if he's looking and getting advice from people who have passed on, those people are going to have the most wisdom because they're on the other side now and they kind of see what's important and what's not, right? I don't know. I just really love the energy of this card, and that there's structure and there's like honoring people who have come before us and learning from others and learning from the past and things like that. So I just really love the way that this card is depicted. So yes. Okay, next up we have the Lovers. And again, I thought I was going to choose one and I ended up choosing another. So this is the Lovers card from the Green Witch Tarot, and it's called The Lady and the Lord. And as I had all my cards laid out and I was looking at all the Lovers cards, all of them were called the Lovers, right? I mean, that's what the card is called. And as I was looking at all the ones that I liked, I noticed that I liked Lovers cards that aren't really like an embracing kind of a Lovers card where they're hugging or kissing or like in bed together. That's not really the kind of lover card that I like. I like when they're kind of standing there together, side by side. And I really love this one because it's called The Lady and the Lord, and I liked the separation there, that they're their own separate people. They're not just one entity called the Lovers. They are the Lady and the Lord. So they're two separate people and they've come together and they're holding hands, but they're like equals here. And they both like have weapons and they're both going to maybe fight for their people or whatever. And I love, we have like the moon and the sun symbol here. So there's like a very beautiful kind of balance in this card that I really enjoy. I do read the Lovers card as a choice, or like a commitment more than like in love readings and things like that. I can incorporate it into a love reading or read it that way, but I do prefer to read the Lovers card, or mostly read the Lovers card as a choice or as a commitment. And I just love like the juxtaposition of these two figures in this card, and just that balance it brings, and like the choice, the commitment. They've committed to each other, they've committed to their people, it looks like. And I just, I love it. I love the separation. I really do. The runner-up I had for this one was the original Rider-Waite Lovers card, because when I look at this, I can really differentiate the like choice here. I love that we have like Tree of Knowledge and the Tree of Life here. And again, I just love that our figures are just standing here and they're like the same height. They're the same. It's just like equal on each side. And there's like two different kind of paths that you could take. So that was the runner-up, but I ultimately went with this one because of that edge of it having the separation and it being called the Lady and the Lord. So I really, really love this card. All right, next up for the Chariot, I chose from the Halloween Tarot. I had to choose a card from my Halloween deck. So I love this one because it's a freaking hearse. Like, the Chariot card is one I normally really enjoy. I think a lot of the imagery in most of the Chariot cards that I have in my decks are beautiful. I just love the really spooky kind of spin on this one. We have like all these little pumpkin faces on this fence here, and I love this little pumpkin man. He looks so happy to be driving away in this hearse. And I was thinking about this card, I was like, okay, well, who are you? Are you the person in the back of the hearse that's just laying down and letting life kind of take them wherever? Or are you the driver? Are you this pumpkin man happily driving the hearse to his destination? Or are you the passenger? Are you this little black cat? So I love that about this. I love the spooky imagery, and yes, so that's the Chariot card I picked from the Halloween Tarot. Okay, next up for strength, I picked from the Pagan Otherworlds again. I just really enjoyed this depiction of strength with a bear. I really enjoyed how different it was, and I love the stark contrast between this black bear and her white kind of outfit, and how she's just so in control and isn't using like she's not using brute force to tame this bear. And I mean, most of the strength cards I had were pretty similar, you know, with the lion, but I do enjoy to see a different kind of animal, because it doesn't really matter what animal is depicted. They all kind of, for me, mean the same thing. And I do like to see alternate kind of strength cards, and the one in the Tarot of the Haunted House was cool, but I really love this. And I even love, like, I don't know if you can see, but her toes are kind of like digging into the ground here, because she even has kind of a footing underneath the bear. So I just love this. And she doesn't look like super strained or anything. She's got it under control. She has that inner fortitude, which I love. So that's the strength card I picked from Pagan Otherworlds. I was kind of surprised at how many cards I picked from Pagan Otherworlds. All right, next up we have the Hermit, and the Hermit card is a favorite of mine, and I really like the traditional kind of imagery. So I picked the Hermit from the Rainbow Heart Tarot. I just think this image is visually stunning. It's so pretty. And I do really enjoy Hermit cards that show like somebody alone and really content. I think for like the traditional Hermit of going on a self-discovery kind of a trek for inner solitude and looking within, I just love this, because we see that he's like at the top of a mountain. It's the nighttime. I love this lantern and how bright this artwork makes it look, and I love that we actually have this star that's very visually apparent here, that symbolizes hope and getting through that dark night of the soul. You know, I love this Hermit card, and I think the colors just make it so much more potent. So I really, really love this version of the Hermit. Okay, next up we have the Wheel of Fortune, and I actually chose this one plus two kind of runner-ups because I don't know, I guess I really like different imagery in the Wheel of Fortune, which is weird. I didn't know that. But the one I picked is from the Anna K Tarot. And yeah, I love this one because it shows that what goes up must come down, which is my favorite saying for the Wheel of Fortune. And this one shows it the most clearly, I feel like, because it's literally people on this wheel. And when they're at the top, they're on top of the world. Like, these people are celebrating, they're drinking, and when the wheel comes back around, they're falling off. And then we have somebody trying to climb to the top here on the other side. And I love this because it's kind of, I don't know if you can see, but in the background we have like the universe turning the wheel. And it's like this person, so it could be like Mother Earth or Gaia or the universe. It's just this like higher source kind of a figure turning the wheel. They have their hand on the little handle here to turn it. And I really enjoy that depiction. I feel like it's very clear and it's very easy to tell what's going on in this card, and the wheel never stops. So be happy when you're on the top, because it's gonna go around again. So I love that. That's how I read the card mostly. And then I have two that I really enjoy the imagery of that I thought was really cool depictions of it. So this next one is from the Green Witch Tarot, and it's the Wheel of the Year. And I love this interpretation of the Wheel of Fortune because, again, it's like cycles and things are always moving, and the seasons are always changing, and winter will always come back around again, summer will always come around again. Like, I just love that it shows the Wheel of the Year and all the different times of year and how it's just constantly moving, right? So that was a runner-up, and then the other one I picked was the Wheel of Fortune card from the Runic Tarot. And I love this one because we have the 3 fates here, kind of spinning your fate. And again, I really loved the imagery of the 3 women here and the 3 different colors. This one kind of could have a darker connotation to it, that you don't have control over your life and it's like fate kind of pulling the strings, right? But I think this depiction is really cool, and it's a really interesting way to think about the Wheel of Fortune. Next up we have Justice, and this one was hard for me, but I ended up choosing the Standing Stone from the Green Witch Tarot. Can you tell my favorite deck? I could have chosen every card from the Green Witch Tarot, but I was trying to change it up a little. Justice is actually my life path card, and I found that out the other day, and I was like, what? I don't really relate to the Justice card or really care when it comes up or really like relate to it. I don't know, but who knows? Maybe I could look into it, and there is a lot of things I could go into about the Justice card with me if I think about it. But yeah, when I think of justice, I think of karmic justice, and the universe kind of righting itself after you've been wronged and things like that. And I love, the reason I chose this one is because all of the Justice cards that I had showed a person with the scales. And I liked that this one was just like this rock. And we still have the scale imagery, right? But it just seems a lot more, because I believe, again, that justice is like a universal karmic kind of thing, and that everybody will get what's coming to them, good or bad. And that the world's always kind of righting itself. So I just really enjoyed that this one didn't depict a person. It depicted like nature, and it depicted this cosmic kind of order to things. So yes, I really, really love this, and I love that it says harm none. Beautiful. So that is the Justice card from the Green Witch Tarot. Next up we have the Hanged Man. And again, this was kind of a hard one for me because the Hanged Man energy is very hard for me. I have a hard time just being in the moment. Just when I I'm stuck or I can't do something, it gives me a lot of anxiety. And a lot of the Hanged Man cards show somebody who's strung upside down and they're okay with it. They look calm. They're getting new perspective. They're getting awakenings, you know, spiritual awakenings, things like that. And I don't relate to that. I know it's important to kind of look at where you are if you're stuck somewhere and kind of pause to get that new perspective. But yeah, and I was going to pick some, because there are some Hanged Man cards that have a depiction of somebody trying to get out of their binds and out of this hanged situation, and I feel like I relate to that. But this one, I just feel like this one really is beautiful. It is from the Herb Crafters Tarot, and it's called the Hanged One, and it has a herb here of burdock. And there's just an energy about this card that I really enjoyed, and it made me think about the Hanged Man in kind of a different way, and how, like, more practically I could just be in the moment, right? Like, when I look at this card, I imagine it's a stormy day. I had plans, they were canceled, and the power goes out. I can't do any of the things that I planned. But this is an opportunity for me to just be. I get a hot cup of tea. I put out some candles on my kitchen table. I bring out my tarot deck. I bring out my runes. I do a very insightful reading that brings different perspective. And I'm just in the moment. And I'm okay with being stuck in this moment here where I can't do these things I wanted to do. So that was my little kind of scene that I saw here when I looked at the card, and I think it was a really beautiful way to see the Hanged Man. So that is from the Herb Crafters Tarot. Okay, next up we have the Death card, and again I picked from the Green Witch Tarot. I love the number 13. It's one of my favorite numbers. The Death card in this deck is called the Lord of Shadows. And the reason I really like this is because we have a symbol of transformation here with the lunar moth, the Luna moth. This card doesn't look scary, but it does show that death is always lurking, right? We have this older gentleman and like this younger child kind of walking hand in hand, and you have death lurking. So are they here for the older person? Are they here for the younger person? You don't know. But there's this element of transformation, and I don't know, it's a really, really beautiful card. And I brought this card out just to show you. I do really enjoy death cards that have the scythe and the skull and like all the creepy imagery and the dead people and all that, right? And I thought this one was really beautiful. This is from the Morgan Greer. But I do see the death card as a transformation card, and I just really love the inclusion of the moth in this one. So that's the death card. Next up, we have Temperance. So for Temperance, I chose from the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, and this card is called the Forge. And I love this depiction of temperance. Everything has to be correct for this forge to work. Everybody has to do their part. They kind of stay in their lane. Everything has to be kind of the right temperature. It has to be done at the right time and all of these things. And I just love that depiction of temperance, of balance and measurements and calculations and all of these things to make sure that the end product comes out correctly. And my husband likes to watch Forged in Fire, I think it's called, and there's a lot of thought that has to go into forging weapons. And I I just love that balance. Everything has to come together equally, and it's like alchemy, and it's like testing different things and finding the right combination that'll work for you and that will bring you harmony in your life. And yeah, I just I love this depiction of temperance. Next up we have the Devil, and I chose the Devil from the Morgan Greer Tarot. And the reason I chose this is because, first of all, the card I think is visually really cool looking. I like this because the Devil looks creepy, but he also looks kind of cute to me. this card, bear with me. And I like that there's no people in this where they're like chained up to the Devil, you know. I just think there's something about this image that's kind of like absurd a little bit. Like this Devil, yes, he's creepy, but he looks kind of fluffy too. Like he looks not real, I guess. And so to me, I think about this in the way of like the devil, the temptation, the things that happen in our life that cause us to be in these devil times in our life, that cause addiction and things like that. It's not the devil, right? It's us and things that have happened in our life that have caused us to go down these paths or to have these issues. And the devil represents those things, right? But it's not the actual devil himself. And I think, to me, I guess because of the way I grew up and people saying, oh, the devil made him do it, you know, the devil's in that guy. It's like, no. I don't like that kind of saying or that kind of belief of the devil is the reason that this person cheated on their wife, and like I hate that. I like a little bit more responsibility. And so for me, this card just kind of it's like this didn't make you do it, okay? So take responsibility for that. We all kind of fall into these traps in our life, but taking responsibility and wanting to change and wanting to get out of it is the only way that that's ever going to happen. So yeah, kind of a long spiel, but that's why I liked this Devil card. Okay, next up for the Tower, I like a traditional looking tower, and again, I chose the Tower from the Morgan Greer Tarot. I really like the way that a round tower looks. In the Rider-Waite deck, it's like kind of a rectangular building or square type building. But I really like the way the round tower looks. In this, I just love how we have the lightning coming down. There's clouds. There's like wind here. There's waves coming up. It's just, it's beautiful. I do really like the Tower card imagery. Obviously, it's not fun when it comes up in a reading, but I think this is a really striking image, and it really captures the Tower energy for me. Okay, next up for the Star, I chose the Star from the Slow Tarot. This is so beautiful. There were so many beautiful Star cards to choose from. I usually enjoy the Star card. I just really love this depiction. First of all, it's visually stunning to me. I love this person's dark skin tone with their white dress. It just looks really beautiful to me. And I love that it's like rough seas. Like this person's obviously in a ship, and there's like water leaking over into the ship, and there's a storm in the background, and there's a ship over there that obviously needs help. But they're looking for the North Star, and they're looking for this hope. And hope is there, and they're holding on to that, and I just love it. I love this card. Beautiful. Okay, next up we have the Moon, and again, this one was a little bit hard for me, but I ended up going with this one. If I read the Moon in a traditional sense, which I do normally, unless I'm doing kind of a witchy reading where we're looking at what kind of witch you are and your witchy energy and things like that, then I read the moon card in more of a witchy way. I don't know how to say it. Like, you need to work with the moon, the divine feminine, your power, things like that. But when I'm looking at the moon in the traditional sense of it being illusions and you don't quite know what you're looking at, this is a beautiful depiction. This is from the Modern Witch Tarot, and I love this card. The coloring is beautiful. It's, again, visually stunning, but I love the masks. Like, I love that they're wearing masks, and then I love that we have this, like, creature in the water that's kind of creeping up behind them. Things aren't always what they seem, so love that one. Okay, next up for the sun, I have this card. This is from the Everyday Witch Tarot again. I love the energy in this card of the maiden, the mother, and the crone. For some reason, I just really love imagery that shows those three stages of life and those three kind of witchy archetypes. I also feel like the sun in this really is illustrated well. It feels like the real sun, and I love the sunflowers as well. And them just frolicking at all stages of life. You can be joyful, like extremely joyful and happy and just loving life. So I love that. I'm not a big fan of the creepy baby, so yes. All right, next up we have Judgment, and this is from the Desert Illuminations Tarot. I chose this because it's so darn funny and cute, and I mean, look at it. It's aliens, a UFO abducting this cow. Instead of the normal angel kind of calling up on Judgment Day, all these people, it's these aliens and they're summoning this cow. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't really hit the meaning of the Judgment card for me, how I normally see it, but it's just so funny. And I just love that instead of that angel and like the rapture or whatever, it's like this cow's being raptured by aliens. I just think it's so funny. And I love like the rainbow. It's so cool. So that's what I picked for Judgment. And last but not least for the World, I picked the World card from Triomphe della Luna Illustrated Pips Edition, which I guess this is the same in the regular Triomphe. So I just really liked the coloring in this. Most of my World cards are pretty much the same, and I just kind of look at them as the end of a cycle, the completion, coming to the end of something. And I just felt like this figure looked really happy. Like, they looked really kind of like they accomplished something. And yeah, I think this figure is really beautiful too. I don't know, they just look really beautiful to me. So this is what I picked for the World. The World card, again, it's not one I have a super big attachment to, but I thought this one was really pretty. So that is what I chose for my 22 faves. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Are any of these cards that I picked any of your faves? I would love to know if you're doing this tag. Again, let me know down in the description box. I know this was kind of chatty. I didn't just show the cards and get on with it. I was kind of telling you life stories and stuff. But either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I really had a lot of fun going through all my decks and picking out my favorite cards and what I look for in certain cards. And yeah, if you guys are interested in any kind of a personal tarot reading from me, I have my Etsy shop in the description box down below. Again, I will list the original creators of this tag down below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!